Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is, I was going to say Monday, but it's Tuesday. Of course, it's Tuesday. Sorry, if you're not watching over here in the UK, you don't know what I'm talking about, but it has been a bank holiday weekend. So yesterday was kind of like a Sunday, and I've just dropped the kids back to school after Easter holidays, first day back. Thank you very much. I'm sure parents out there know exactly how I'm feeling about that, but yeah, it just feels like a Monday, but it's not. Of course, it's not. It is a Tuesday. So I hope your week in the UK anyway, if you're just starting work now, is going okay and it's not been too bad a return for you. And everywhere else where you're watching around the world, I hope you're having a fantastic week as we gear up towards tomorrow night's game against Crystal Palace at the Emirates. Mikel Arteta will be speaking later on today. A bit of a later press conference, 3:30 p.m. We'll see what he has to say ahead of that game. Obviously, the last game for Arsenal before the PSG first leg. So I have about a week-long break because they're not in action this weekend, which will be pretty nice. So we'll hear what Mikel's got to say a little bit later on today, but still wanted to come on here, talk about a few things before the press. So we're going to talk about Thomas Partey. As I've been saying in the last couple of days, a few days following Mikel's comments about his contract, I've been trying to sort of find out from people I've been speaking to sort of exactly what the situation is with Thomas. I kind of have, although it is a little bit open still. So I'm going to talk about that. We'll look at what Ethan Nwaneri is having to say, some interesting stuff from him on his kind of development as a player this season, his relationship with Miles Lewis-Skelly as well. Got some comments from you guys. We'll look ahead to the game against Crystal Palace, look at who Mikel Arteta should potentially be starting in that game as well. But look, I know I've done this a few times in the last week. You're probably sick to death of hearing it to me now, but you'll be very surprised to know just how many people are still getting in touch with me every day on my social media channels, through the website and everything like that, saying, well, what's happened to your podcast? Why haven't you uploaded it since Madrid? So without trying to spam people, I still need to get the message out there. So I'm going to do it again. The old podcast, if you follow it, if you subscribe to it, and you've done that for the last couple of years, you need to stop because I deleted it in Madrid somehow through sheer stupidity. I can't upload anything more to it. So those episodes you've got, that podcast you're listening to, is now basically worthless, defunct. I can't continue to add to it. So I've had to create a new one, which you can find. It's again Inside Arsenal with Charles Watts. You can get the links to the new one down below in the description. They're all over my social media channels as well. You need to follow that one now, subscribe to that one now if you want to get this daily show in podcast form delivered straight to your phone every single day. So yeah, links below, links on my social media. Get rid of the old one. It's not worth having it anymore. Follow the new one, like so many of you have. Thank you so much for all the support on that. Really do appreciate it. But those who haven't yet, who haven't found out about it yet, and maybe are hearing about it for the first time today through this, then get onto the new links below. Click them, subscribe to that link, whether it be on Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon, whatever, and you'll start getting the show in audio form, podcast, straight to your phone every single day, just like you used to for the last one. Right, that's enough of that. Let's talk about Thomas Partey's contract, shall we? Now, it was quite interesting last Friday in a press conference Mikel had before the weekend game when he was asked about Thomas's contract, and he said, look, I'm paraphrasing here, of course, but it was like the intention is clear. He didn't specifically talk about Thomas, but he was asked specifically about Thomas. He said the intention is clear. We'll leave it with Andrea Berta and the club to try and sort things out. And so, yeah, it was quite interesting because the expectation has been, certainly the word noises have been that, Thomas Partey, along with Jorginho, will be leaving at the end of the season. So when I heard that, that's interesting. It's just a little bit of a pivot away from the type of language or words we've been kind of hearing when it comes to Thomas Partey's future. So I've been doing a little digging, trying to find out exactly sort of where things stand at the moment. So this is kind of where, from my understanding, the situation sort of lies with Thomas Partey and his future right now. Okay, so we know he's out of contract at the end of the season, of course. As far as I'm aware, and I've been told, there's never been a contract offer for Thomas. So he's never had a contract offer from the club, despite reports you might have seen elsewhere. That my understanding of the situation is that that's not the case. He's never had a contract offer from the club. And there aren't, or haven't been yet, proper talks going on still. No formal talks with Arsenal about a new contract now, and what we're in sort of April at the moment. But as far as I'm aware, for the first time, probably since this is sort of the clock has been ticking down, there is a feeling maybe that Arsenal are actually now willing to enter into negotiations about an extension with Thomas Partey. But, and I reiterate this, that has not happened yet. His agents have been in London recently. They were in for the Real Madrid game and to hold some discussions. But again, that's no formal contract talks as far as I'm aware. I might be wrong, but that's just what I've been told. There's been no formal contract talks, but his agents have been in London as they start to sort of gear up to what exactly is going to happen with Thomas. There is interest in him from top European clubs elsewhere: Juventus, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. So there is interest in Thomas Partey, but he is very happy in London, from my understanding. He's very settled in London with his family, and so he would be open to potentially prolonging his stay at Arsenal. A sort of 2-year deal would be something Partey and his team would consider, maybe a 1+1 type situation. But that has not happened yet. There's been no talks about it yet. So we'll see what happens between now and the end of Thomas Partey's contract and whether Arsenal do enter into discussions with him. I get the sense that it's not going to be the easiest sort of deal to do. I don't think it's the case if you're thinking, well, surely that's really simple. If you want to keep him and he wants to stay, then that'll be easy. But this is Partey's last big contract, obviously, when you look at his age. So you can see how both sides are going to come into this with a little bit different sort of levels of thinking. Partey's like, well, this is my last big contract. I don't want to, I'm on good money here. I don't want to take a reduction in transfer in wages or anything like that. I'm probably being offered a lot of money from elsewhere with big signing on fees. But Arsenal will be like, well, I know you've been fit this season, but your injury record's not great. You're going to be, above 30 now. So we don't really want to be paying you what we've been paying you so far, which is an awful lot of money. You're one of the top earners at the club. So you can imagine they won't be the easiest negotiations to complete if they do happen. And again, they haven't started yet, as far as I'm aware. So yeah, we'll see how it all progresses. But there is a sense certainly from people I've spoken to that there is a bit of a change and that Arsenal would potentially be open to keeping him. Whereas before, the feeling within Partey's side of things was, this isn't going to happen. Then that I'm going to be going at the end of the season, and Arsenal aren't really sort of open for discussion. So we'll see where that goes from here. Obviously, a lot of time to go between now and the end of the season, but that's as far as my understanding on Thomas Partey's situation. That is where we are right now. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. In terms of his future, he's been in very good form this season. He's been fit, which we just haven't really seen with Thomas Partey for a long time. And it's basically in his best form of his Arsenal career, I think, right now. And if Jorginho's going, which he is, and yes, you're signing Zubimendi, but if you kept Thomas Partey as well and Zubimendi, that's a very, very strong sort of central midfield base there that you can rotate and share the burden and all that sort of stuff. So let me know your thoughts on it all, obviously, in the comments below. Right, moving on to Ethan Nwaneri. Some interesting stuff from Ethan that I wanted to discuss here. He was talking to Simon Collins at the Standard. I retweeted. You can find it on Twitter or Blue Sky. I retweeted the interview he did with him. Some really, really interesting stuff. He spoke to him after the Ipswich game, and excuse me, he was talking about his best position and how he's sort of been adapting to playing on the right-hand side, which isn't a position he's really done before. So he said, naturally, I've always been a number 10. I've played as a number 10 my whole life. Again, I can play as a striker as well. Right wing is a new one for me, but I've liked the challenge of the new position. It's been tough adapting, but that is part of the football. If the manager asks you to play somewhere else, you have to do it to the highest level. It's been hard. It's been up and down, but I've enjoyed it. I can play anywhere the team needs me. And he's done that position really, really well. I think there's been ups, as he said, ups and downs. I think his form of late has dipped a little bit. There's no doubt about that. He was flying not so long ago, but I think he struggled certainly in the Premier League at times when he started of late. But it was good to see him come on and get the goal against Ipswich, of course, at the weekend. And I think he's going to solve Arsenal a massive problem when it comes to sort of competition, cover, whatever you want to call it, for Bukayo Saka next season. We've been crying out for that for a long time. Thought Arsenal were going to have to really spend a lot of money in the transfer market to bring that player in. They don't need to do that now. You can focus on the left-hand side of the attack. You can focus on the striker. You don't have to worry about who's going to share the burden with Bukayo Saka next season, because you've got that in Ethan Nwaneri, and he doesn't just have to play on that right-hand side. He can play centrally as well, as he talked about in those quotes he gave. Some really nice stuff with him and Lewis Skelly, and how they've sort of come through together and how they drive each other on, kind of with a bit of a sort of competitive nature to their friendship, and how that's really helped them go through their Arsenal career. He said, it's what we've been doing since we were young. One person will start playing up an age group, then the next will start playing up. One person will start scoring, then the next will start scoring. That's just how me and him work. It's not competitive, but we kind of raise each other's standards. That's so good to have as a friend. Me and him, we talk every second of every day. We're always just talking about everything. We look back on old times, look to the future, everything. This is what we spoke about since we were young, breaking into the team together. We've just had our eyes on that vision. The fact we've been able to do it, it's amazing. I mean, how good is that? Imagine growing up with your best mate, playing through the year groups at Arsenal. Your dream has always been to get into the senior side, the first team together. And in the same season as a 17 and 18-year-old, you do that. And you don't just kind of break into it, you explode into it and become absolute, regulars. I mean, Lewis Skelly obviously is now first name on the team sheet when it comes to the left-back situation. Nwaneri's not quite there yet, but still in the same season, alongside your best mate who you've dreamt of doing this with for years and years and years, to actually do it. I mean, it's so, so rare, and it must be so, so special for the pair of them to be able to do that. So yeah, go and read Simon's interview. Like I said, I retweeted it yesterday. It's on my Blue Sky as well. A really good interview with Ethan Nwaneri. He hadn't really spoken too much to the media since he's come through to the first team. Sorry, you can probably tell I've got a bit of a sore throat at the moment, and I'm struggling trying to get myself through this show. But we march on, we continue, we go again. Arsenal go again tomorrow night against Crystal Palace. Really good opportunity to properly cement their place in the second. Really, when you look at it in the Premier League, but some big decisions for Mikel Arteta to make. Obviously, there's no game this weekend. Palace were due to be Arsenal's opponents, but because they're in FA Cup action, it's been brought forward to the Wednesday night. So Arsenal get a nice little bit of rest before the PSG game next week. So that, there's definitely going to be some sort of focus, you would think, on that PSG game when it comes to Mikel Arteta's team selection. But the fact there is such a big gap between the games makes you think, well, certainly makes me think, I think Arteta's going to go pretty strong. There will be some changes, and obviously Bukayo Saka's injury that he picked up against Ipswich might come into the equation when it comes to the team selection. If there's any sort of doubt over Saka, if his ankle's bad or swollen up and still swollen, still stiff after that tackle, you don't risk him, obviously. So we'll see what Mikel's got to do then. Fullback wise, obviously he made the changes against Ipswich at the weekend. Ben White came in, Alexander Zinchenko came in. What do you do this weekend, tomorrow night? Sorry, do you bring Duran Timber back in, give him a run out? Do you give Miles Lewis Skelly? Because as much as you want to rest players, you also don't want them to go cold. Basically, they need to keep getting some minutes to stay, the top of their game, stay in rhythm. So we'll see what he's got to do there. Thomas Partey is going to be an interesting one. Obviously, he misses the game against PSG. He didn't play against Ipswich because Arteta clearly had eyes on that PSG game, was experimenting a little bit with his midfield. He played Declan Rice as a 6. He played Marino further ahead. Do you do that again? Or do you bring Thomas Partey in because he didn't play and he's not going to play against PSG? Do you bring Thomas Partey in and give Declan Rice a rest, for example? I think that's what you should probably do. I think you play Thomas Partey and you rest Declan Rice for this game. He's not going to lose his rhythm sitting out one game. He's played so much football. He's in the absolutely top of his form right now. One game off is not going to impact him. And I think given Thomas Partey's out against PSG, the biggest disaster that could happen to Arsenal tomorrow night would be something happening to Declan Rice, an injury happening to Declan Rice. So I think you protect him. Of all the players, you protect Declan Rice, I think, tomorrow night against Palace. So I'd be bringing Thomas Partey in, playing him as a 6, and then have Marino, Odegaard, whoever playing ahead of him. But I'd love to get your thoughts on it. I'll be doing the preview show in the morning. We'll go through predicted 11 and all that sort of thing. Love to get your thoughts on it. Who should start against Palace and where? Would you be resting Declan Rice? Would you be resting Bukayo Saka? Let me know in the comments below. A few of you have already done that. A couple of you here on the Saka situation showing the difference of opinion. I thought I'd show them up. Mr. Morale 96 says, I understand the desire to protect him, but Saka just came back from injury and needs to build max sharpness, so he should play against Palace. His two misses against Ipswich are evidence of just how rusty he is. But then Gabriel says Saka should not start. Put him on the bench. If we need him, then put Saka on. So difference of opinion in terms of what should happen with Bukayo Saka tomorrow night against Crystal Palace. Some funny football to watch last night. Tottenham losing again. 18 league defeats for Spurs. 18 league defeats, including two. I think they lost at Forest as well, didn't they? That Nuno's done the double over them. Their former manager, who they booted out not so long ago. 18 defeats. They're staggeringly bad. They're so lucky. There's like 3 of the worst Premier League teams ever have been in the league this season, or Tottenham would be staring relegation in the face. But yeah, Forest winning that game yesterday 2-1. 2 early goals and then sort of held on late on despite Tottenham getting a goal back. And that's seen Forest move to within 6 points of Arsenal, back into third. I really hope Forest get Champions League. I really, really do. I think they deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. It'd be a real shame if they missed out right at the end, having been in and around the top, well, 3 basically, not even 4, the top 3 pretty much all season. So I hope they get themselves over the line. But they're 6 points behind Arsenal now. So if Arsenal win against Crystal Palace tomorrow, they're going to open up a 9-point gap with 4 games to go, albeit having played a game more. That'll be a pretty commanding position to be in, especially when you look at the goal difference as well. So really big opportunity for Arsenal to take a firm grasp on the second place and kind of get it wrapped up, which is what you want. And it's be full focus on the Champions League from that moment on. Chris has got in touch finally here. He says there is no doubt Odegaard much prefers playing with White rather than Timber. So the question is, who should start against PSG? I think I may go for White for the home leg. That's what Chris has had to say. I disagree. I don't disagree that there's no doubt Odegaard prefers playing with White. I think he's got a bit more of an understanding. I think it frees him up a little bit more, gives him a little bit more space because White gets on the overlap, takes us maybe one extra player away who has to deal with that run, and that just gives Odegaard a little bit more extra space. You know, it's undeniable that link up between White, Odegaard, and Saka is just telepathic, and Arsenal really benefit from it. We saw it against Ipswich, albeit against very poor opposition at the weekend. But when I look at the threat that PSG have and where their threat and attack is going to come from, the pace they have down the flanks, I just think during Timber's strength and dealing with one-on-one situations, and I'd just be playing that all day long. Say he's up against Kvaratskhelia against PSG or Barcola, whoever it's going to be on the sort of left-hand side of the attack. I just think that one-on-one duel is going to be so important. And as good as Ben White is going forward and on the overlap and what he brings to that team down that side, I just think for PSG especially, to counter the threat that they have down the flanks, I think he plays for me in that game all day long. I think it's a real area where if Arsenal can win those battles down the flanks and nullify PSG's wingers, then they've got a really good chance, Arsenal, of going on and winning the game. So, no, I'd be playing Timber, not Ben White. But thank you very much, Chris, for getting in touch and having your say. Appreciate that as always. And that's it from me today, everyone. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the new podcast, if you haven't yet, you want to follow, you then get down into the description. You can get the links to the new podcast show and get the audio version of this delivered to your phone or whatever every single day. Do that right now in the description below. Until then, have a great day, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.